What if that single fall had never happened? What if one painful mistake had never forced Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara to confront their biggest weakness? Then perhaps one of the greatest comebacks in Olympic figure skating history would never have existed. Imagine the scene. A quiet September evening in Bergamo, Italy. Two skaters glide onto the ice as thousands of eyes lock onto them. The arena grows silent. The music begins. Every movement is smooth, every edge precise, every second filled with anticipation. Then comes the lift. For one brief instant, time seems to freeze. In that single moment, everything changes. This story begins in Bergamo, but it does not end there. It stretches across a year and a half, all the way to the Olympic stage in Milan Cortina, where the very same pair would transform heartbreak into history. What happened in Bergamo was never just an accident. It became the first chapter of a much bigger story. The world often says that defeat creates champions, but losing alone means nothing. What truly matters is what athletes choose to do after they fall. Do they allow disappointment to define them, or do they turn it into fuel for something greater? That question became the foundation of Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara's remarkable journey. Today, we're looking back at the 2024 Lombardia Trophy, not simply to revisit a painful mistake, but to uncover how one terrifying fall eventually became the hidden blueprint for Olympic glory. Every detail matters, every setback carries meaning, and every moment points toward a future that nobody could fully see at the time. Before we reach the unforgettable Olympic triumph, we need to return to where it all began. The Lombardia Trophy is held every September in Italy and serves as one of the earliest international competitions of the season. For many skaters, it's more than just another event. It is the first real opportunity to measure months of training against the world's elite. It reveals strengths, exposes weaknesses, and often predicts the direction of an entire season. In 2024, the competition took place in Bergamo, bringing together many of the world's strongest pair teams just weeks before the Grand Prix season officially began. For Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara, however, this event carried far greater significance than simply opening another competitive year. It represented the beginning of a long-awaited comeback. The previous season had been anything but normal. Kihara had spent months battling lumbar spondylolysis, a serious lower back injury that forced the pair to withdraw from the entire Grand Prix series. It was a devastating setback for athletes who had reached the pinnacle of the sport only months earlier. His injury affected nearly every technical element in pair skating, from explosive jumps to demanding lifts, making it impossible to compete safely. Instead of chasing medals, they spent months focusing on rehabilitation, recovery, and rebuilding confidence. When they finally returned for the Four Continents Championships and the World Championships in early 2024, they captured silver medals despite still fighting through physical limitations. Those medals were impressive, but inside the team, they knew they had not yet reached their true level. They understood that they were surviving rather than performing at their absolute best. That realization quietly became their motivation throughout the off-season. Every rehabilitation session, every careful practice, and every adjustment to their training plan had one purpose: arrive healthy enough to challenge for the biggest prize waiting in the future. By September 2024, Bergamo became the place where that new journey officially started. After nearly 6 months away from consistent international competition, they stepped back onto the ice carrying new choreography, renewed determination, and a body that had finally begun responding to months of careful recovery. They weren't simply returning to competition. They were testing whether everything they had rebuilt would hold together under real pressure. This wasn't just another season opener. It was the first real examination of whether their championship partnership had truly recovered. Few teams understood adversity better than Miura and Kihara. Their career had already become one of the greatest success stories in Japanese pair skating. They had rewritten history by becoming world champions, capturing the Grand Prix final, dominating Four Continents Championships, and helping Japan earn an Olympic team silver medal. Their achievements had transformed the expectations for Japanese pair skating forever. Winning all 3 major international championships within a single season placed them among the most successful pair teams of their generation. Yet behind every trophy stood countless unseen struggles. Fans often remember the victories, but rarely witness the injuries, setbacks, endless rehabilitation sessions, and emotional battles hidden behind the scenes. Their journey had never been smooth. Every major triumph had followed months of uncertainty, sacrifice, and persistence. That resilience became the defining characteristic of their partnership. They were not champions because nothing ever went wrong. They became champions because they always found a way back after things did. Bergamo would soon test that resilience once again. The competition began with the short program, and immediately there were encouraging signs. Miura and Kihara delivered a polished performance that earned 73.53 points and second place after the opening segment. Their twist lift received strong positive grades. Their throw triple lutz landed successfully. Their lifts looked stable, their skating skills appeared sharp, and the chemistry between them remained unmistakable. The score itself mattered, but what mattered even more was the message behind it. After months of recovery, they looked competitive again. There were still minor imperfections. A side-by-side jump received an under-rotation call, reminding everyone that complete sharpness would require additional competition experience. Yet those were exactly the kinds of adjustments elite athletes expect during the opening event of a new season. Instead of discouraging them, those small mistakes simply identified areas for improvement before the Grand Prix series began. Coaches love data, and competitions like Lombardia provide valuable information that training alone cannot reveal. Every judging sheet becomes a roadmap for refinement. Looking at the overall performance, there was genuine optimism surrounding the Japanese pair. They appeared ready to compete with the world's best once again. Confidence slowly returned, both inside the team and among the fans watching from around the world. But elite sport has a cruel habit of changing everything within seconds. One perfect routine can be forgotten instantly when one unexpected mistake changes the entire narrative. That moment was waiting just one day later during the free skate. The free program offers skaters greater freedom to express artistry while demanding significantly more endurance and technical precision. Unlike the short program, where required elements dominate the structure, the free skate allows athletes to build a complete emotional story. Every lift, throw, jump, spin, and transition becomes part of a much larger performance. That freedom also means there is far more room for disaster when something goes wrong. Midway through Miura and Kihara's performance, disaster struck. During the dismount of one of their lifts, Kihara lost control. He slipped backward, crashing onto the ice as Miura came down on top of him. The arena fell silent. Spectators gasped. For a split second, nobody cared about the scores anymore. Everyone simply hoped both athletes were uninjured. From a distance, it looked like a frightening fall. But the judging sheet revealed something even harsher. That single lift carried a base value of 6.2 points, yet the massive negative grade of execution reduced its value dramatically, while an additional fall deduction pushed the damage even further. In just one element, valuable points disappeared almost instantly, turning what should have been one of their highest-scoring technical moments into one of the costliest mistakes of the competition. Yet what happened next revealed something even more important than the fall itself. They did not stop. They did not panic. They did not allow one mistake to destroy the entire performance. Kihara had slammed onto the ice with enough force to leave everyone inside the arena holding their breath. Reports later described how he landed hard on his back during the lift, visibly feeling the impact, but despite the pain, he immediately got back into position and continued skating. That decision lasted only a few seconds in real time, but it reflected years of trust built between two athletes who understood each other's movements almost instinctively. Instead of freezing after the accident, they chose to finish what they had started. That choice separated them from many teams who might have mentally collapsed under similar circumstances. Pair skating demands complete dependence on another person. Every lift requires absolute trust. Every throw depends on perfect timing. Every landing depends on both skaters believing the other will be exactly where they are supposed to be. When that trust is shaken by a dangerous fall, fear usually follows. Fear changes timing. Fear changes rhythm. Fear causes hesitation. Yet remarkably, Miura and Kihara refused to let fear take control. They regrouped immediately and continued through the remaining elements with impressive composure. Their throw triple lutz, which came later in the program, was completed successfully despite everything that had happened only moments earlier. That detail often goes unnoticed, but it may have been the most impressive part of the entire performance. Executing one of the most difficult elements after experiencing such a frightening fall requires extraordinary mental discipline. Their bodies had been shocked. Their confidence had been tested. Their score had already suffered significant damage. Still, they continued fighting until the final note of the music faded away. That resilience became the real story of Bergamo. When the performance ended, the expressions on their faces revealed disappointment, but not defeat. They understood immediately that valuable points had slipped away. The audience applauded not because the program had been perfect, but because they had witnessed two elite athletes refuse to surrender under pressure. Back in the kiss and cry area, Kihara appeared uncomfortable from the impact, while Miura quietly stayed beside him, offering reassurance without needing many words. Their body language said everything. She reached toward him naturally, checking on him before worrying about the scores. That simple gesture demonstrated something statistics can never measure. In pair skating, medals are earned through technical ability, but championships are sustained through trust. Their partnership had always been built on protecting one another before protecting results. Kihara has spoken before about making his partner's safety his highest priority during lifts, even if it means absorbing the impact himself during dangerous situations. That instinct appeared once again in Bergamo. During the fall, his immediate reaction was not to protect his score but to protect Miura. Those actions happen far too quickly to be calculated consciously. They come from years of repetition and an unbreakable commitment to each other's safety. Likewise, Miura's concern immediately shifted toward her partner rather than the disappointment of losing points. That mutual protection became one of the defining strengths of their partnership throughout their entire career. Looking at the final standings made the result even more painful. Their combined score reached just under 200 points, leaving them behind Italy's Sara Conti and Niccolò Maciai by only a narrow margin of approximately 3.5 points. In figure skating, that difference is incredibly small. A few positive grades of execution, a cleaner landing, a slightly stronger lift. Tiny details often determine whether athletes stand on the highest step of the podium or one level below it. When analysts reviewed the scoring sheets, the numbers told a remarkable story. The failed lift alone had cost them far more than the gap separating first and second place. The base value had been reduced dramatically through negative execution marks, and the mandatory fall deduction added even more damage. Altogether, that single element represented a swing worth several points, more than enough to change the final outcome. Suddenly, the competition looked completely different. They had not been outclassed by superior skating. They had been defeated by one isolated technical breakdown. That realization became incredibly important. Instead of leaving Bergamo wondering whether they were good enough, they left knowing exactly what needed improvement. Elite athletes rarely waste energy blaming bad luck. They study evidence. They identify patterns. They transform disappointment into information. The Lombardia Trophy gave Miura and Kihara something far more valuable than another gold medal. It gave them clarity. They now understood precisely where their greatest vulnerability existed. Their lifts, normally among the strongest in the world, required even greater consistency under competitive pressure. That lesson became part of every practice session that followed. Every repetition carried the memory of Bergamo. Every successful lift gradually replaced fear with confidence. Rather than hiding from the mistake, they confronted it directly. The psychological value of that approach cannot be overstated. Confidence built without adversity is fragile. Confidence rebuilt after failure becomes almost impossible to break. Sports psychologists often explain that the strongest competitors are not those who avoid mistakes entirely, but those who learn to recover quickly after making them. Bergamo became the perfect example of that philosophy. The fall was painful, but the response became transformational. Within only 1 month, the results began to prove it. The opening event of the Grand Prix series arrived with Skate America. Many fans wondered whether the frightening fall in Italy would still affect the Japanese pair. Instead, they produced one of their strongest performances of the season. They finished first in both the short program and the free skate, capturing the overall title convincingly. The turnaround happened with astonishing speed. Only weeks earlier, Kihara had been lying on the ice in Bergamo after a failed lift. Now he and Miura stood proudly on top of the podium again. That dramatic reversal was no coincidence. It reflected countless hours spent reviewing videos, correcting technique, strengthening physical preparation, and rebuilding confidence through disciplined repetition. The accident had become a classroom instead of a scar. Rather than allowing the memory of the fall to haunt them, they transformed it into one of their greatest teachers. The lift itself deserves special attention because it represents one of the defining elements of pair skating. Unlike single skating, where athletes rely entirely on their own movements, pair lifts require two people to function as one. The male partner must generate tremendous strength while maintaining speed across the ice. The female partner must remain perfectly balanced while moving through difficult positions several feet above the surface. Timing must be flawless. Communication often happens without words. Even tiny adjustments in body position can determine whether the element succeeds beautifully or ends in disaster. At the highest level, lifts become demonstrations of complete mutual trust rather than simple displays of strength. Miura and Kihara had spent years perfecting these elements together. Their lifts were known internationally for their speed, elegance, and exceptional difficulty. Bergamo briefly interrupted that reputation, but it never destroyed it. Instead, it forced them to examine every detail more carefully than ever before. They learned where balance could fail. They identified exactly how pressure affected execution. Most importantly, they proved to themselves that one frightening mistake did not define who they were as athletes. They refused to become a team afraid of lifts. Instead, they became a team that understood lifts more deeply than ever before. Every difficult experience leaves behind either fear or wisdom. The choice belongs to the athlete. Miura and Kihara chose wisdom. As they left Bergamo behind, neither of them could have imagined that fate would eventually place them in an almost identical situation on the biggest stage in the sport. But that moment was already approaching. 1 year and several months later, Italy would welcome them back once again, this time not for an early season competition, but for the Olympic Games themselves, where another lift would once again change everything. By the time the Olympic Games arrived in Milan Cortina in 2026, Bergamo had become little more than a distant memory for most fans. New competitions had come and gone. New champions had emerged. Headlines had changed. But inside the minds of Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara, the lessons from that September evening had never disappeared. Every practice session, every successful lift, every correction made over the following 18 months had quietly carried the imprint of that painful fall. The world was about to discover just how valuable those lessons had become. The Olympic Games represent a completely different reality from any other competition. Every 4 years, the entire skating world gathers under unimaginable pressure. Athletes spend most of their careers chasing a single opportunity. One mistake can erase years of preparation, while one unforgettable performance can create a legacy that lasts forever. When Miura and Kihara stepped onto Olympic ice, they carried not only the hopes of Japan but also the expectations that come with being among the world's elite pairs. Then, in an almost unbelievable twist of fate, history seemed ready to repeat itself. During the short program, another lift mistake appeared. Suddenly, memories of Bergamo came rushing back. Once again, a lift that normally symbolized their greatest strength became the source of their biggest disappointment. Their score placed them 5th after the short program, far below where they had hoped to be entering the free skate. Around the skating world, concerns spread quickly. Commentators questioned whether their dream of Olympic gold had slipped away. Fans feared the worst. The pressure became overwhelming. But inside the Japanese camp, something was different this time. Unlike Bergamo, panic never took control. Miura later described the situation as a mental challenge rather than a disaster. Those words carried enormous meaning. She wasn't denying the mistake. She wasn't pretending everything was fine. Instead, she was acknowledging the reality while refusing to surrender to it. That mindset did not appear overnight. It had been built through every setback they had already survived together. They had lived through this situation before. They knew what fear felt like. More importantly, they knew they could recover from it. The emotional balance between the two partners had also evolved. In Bergamo, Kihara instinctively protected Miura during the fall. At the Olympics, the roles quietly reversed. Reports described Kihara as deeply emotional after the short program, struggling to hide his disappointment. For perhaps the first time on the biggest stage of his career, the usually composed partner allowed the weight of the moment to overwhelm him. This time it was Miura who became the steady presence. She encouraged him, remained composed, and reminded both of them that the competition was not over. Their partnership had matured beyond fixed roles. Neither athlete was always the protector. Neither athlete was always the one needing support. They adapted naturally depending on who needed strength the most. That flexibility became one of the greatest advantages they possessed. Even their coaching team refused to accept defeat. One message echoed through the arena and eventually around the skating world: not over. Those two simple words carried enormous power. They reminded everyone that Olympic competitions are decided over two programs, not one. They reminded the athletes themselves that the free skate still remained. Most importantly, they reinforced something Bergamo had already taught them. A mistake only becomes permanent if you stop fighting after it happens. The following day, Miura and Kihara delivered the performance of their lives. Every lift was secure. Every throw landed with confidence. Every transition flowed naturally into the next. The fear that could have haunted them had been replaced by complete commitment. Instead of skating cautiously, they attacked every element with remarkable freedom. It was as though every difficult moment they had experienced over the previous 18 months had prepared them for this exact performance. When the music ended, everyone inside the arena understood they had witnessed something extraordinary. The judges confirmed it moments later. Their free skate earned an astonishing 158.13 points, setting a new world best performance on the Olympic stage and completely transforming the standings. Their combined total secured Japan's first Olympic gold medal in pair skating. The comeback was complete. One day after sitting in 5th place, they stood on top of the Olympic podium wearing gold medals around their necks. It wasn't simply a victory. It became one of the greatest comeback stories the sport had ever seen. Looking back, the connection between Bergamo and Milan became impossible to ignore. In Bergamo, they learned how to continue skating after a frightening lift failure. In Milan, they proved they could recover from another one under the greatest pressure imaginable. The technical corrections certainly mattered, but the psychological transformation mattered even more. Bergamo had taught them not to let one mistake define an entire competition. That lesson became priceless at the Olympics. Without realizing it, they had been preparing for this moment since the day they fell. Some people may call that coincidence. Others may call it destiny. But perhaps the truth is even more inspiring. Great champions create their own opportunities by refusing to waste their failures. Every painful experience becomes another lesson. Every setback becomes another layer of preparation. Every disappointment becomes another reason to improve. That is exactly what Miura and Kihara accomplished. The fall in Bergamo was never erased from their story. It remained there permanently, not as a symbol of failure but as the beginning of something greater. It became the moment that strengthened their trust, sharpened their technique, and transformed their mentality. Looking back now, it almost feels impossible to separate the Olympic gold medal from the accident that came before it. Had they never experienced that frightening fall, would they have responded so calmly when another lift failed on Olympic ice? Would they have trusted each other so completely under impossible pressure? Would they have believed they could still climb from 5th place to 1st? No one can answer those questions with certainty. What we do know is that when the defining moment arrived, they were ready. That readiness had been earned through countless hours of work, painful recovery, technical refinement, and unwavering belief in each other. Their journey reminds us that true greatness is not measured by how often athletes remain perfect. It is measured by how powerfully they respond when perfection disappears. That is why the image of Miura reaching toward Kihara after Bergamo remains just as meaningful as the image of them standing together on the Olympic podium. One moment showed compassion, the other showed triumph. Together, they tell the complete story. A partnership built not on avoiding failure, but on overcoming it together. Perhaps that is the true legacy of Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara. They proved that championships are not created only through flawless performances. Sometimes they are forged in the moments when everything seems to fall apart. Sometimes the first page of a golden ending begins with a painful fall onto the ice. And sometimes, the greatest victory of all is finding the courage to stand back up, trust your partner once again, and skate toward history together. Looking back today, Bergamo no longer feels like the place where they lost. It feels like the place where Olympic champions were quietly born.